Hello, my name is Ed Stefanko. I'm a trainer with the BRP Quality Service Program. Your dealership has hired me to work with your dealership in the service department. Our goals are quite simple. What can we do to make you just a little bit better, help you provide a little bit better customer experience for the customer to increase your customer retention, to see what we can do to sell more labor hours, more service parts, more service accessories. I'm a bottoms-up kind of guy. I want the technicians and the advisors to make as much money as you can, because if you do, your dealer principals will make plenty of money. So I want to start at the bottom and work my way up. I'm going to be doing a series of short YouTube videos on some of the key elements and processes in the service experience. I'm going to start with one that was suggested to me by a dealership, and that's the walk-around process. Service is like sales. Your initial greeting of the customer and what you do in those first 5 or 10 minutes with your customer will set you up for success or a dismal failure in your selling process. So let's start with the customer comes in. Typically, most dealerships will have a customer intake form where you gather the information. I've seen some dealerships where they hand it to the customer to fill it out. Don't ever do that. The customer is here looking for you to help them. Get the form, ask the questions, write it out yourself so you can read your own writing. If the customer is a repeat customer, don't rely on what's in your DMS system, especially when it comes to email address and cell phone numbers. Those change, people disconnect their landlines. So to gather that good contact information, I want you to ask the customer, if I get to the point where I need to send you an estimate, would you prefer I send it to you via email? More than likely you say, yes, that's very convenient. And then ask them what email address you can send it to. Keep in mind that if you send it to a business, an email address, something like IBM, Lockheed Martin, there's a very good chance that the email is not going to come through because of spam blockers. So just be aware of that and try to get to the best email address. And you might ask them, how about the one that hits your cell phone? In addition to that, after you ask them for the email address, and say, or would you prefer a text message? Because a lot of people will say, I'd prefer a text message. Then they gather the cell phone number, so you have two good contact pieces of information for them. Obviously, you start with, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, what brought you in today? Ask the question if it's a concern they're having. Start writing down the details. Customer might be telling you, well, they're having a starting problem on their side-by-side. You might ask the questions, well, when did it first start occurring? Is it when the engine's cold or when the engine's hot? Does it take a long time to get it started or just won't start at all? If you can get it started, does it get the next time after the engine warms up and you turn it off? Can you start it then? Ask as much detailed questions and basically say to the customer, the reason I'm asking so much questions is I want to make sure that my technician addresses your concern in total. And then key to that is once they've told you everything that they answered all your questions, repeat it to them. You might say, Mr. Smith, so that I make sure I understood exactly what the issue is, I heard you tell me A, B, C, D, and E. Go through that. That does two things. Number one, it shows the customer that you're listening and concerned. And number two, it's verifying the information that they've told you. And then you might just ask them, is there anything else you'd like us to address at the time? And then write that down. And then say to them, well, come on with me, let's go and get the VIN number on the unit, and so we can talk some specifics. That's the time to do the walk around. Walk out to the vehicle, and the first thing you should do is write down the VIN number, the number of miles, or the number of hours. That's key information that you need, of course. And then when you say, let me just walk around the unit for you and see if there's anything I see and ask you just some questions. Obviously, one of the first things you're going to be looking for is to make sure there isn't any damage on the vehicle, and if there is, that you document it so that the customer doesn't feel that you caused a ding on their fender or a scratch on the front of their hood. That's key from a liability point. And the second thing what you want to do is, what I would say is look, touch, feel, notate. Here's what comes in. What I would do is maybe start at the front of the vehicle and take a look at the lights and the headlights. See if anything is cracked. If you see a cracked headlight, you might ask, well, how did that happen? And they'll tell you more, answering that question, they'll tell you more about how they drive the unit, as an example. Tell them we can address that, I'll get you a quote on that. As you're walking around, tell the customer, while your vehicle is in here for the service, addressing your concern, they're going to perform a vehicle inspection report. If you have a copy of it that you can show them, that's great, because that'll put it in their mind. When our technician goes around, and he's basically going to give it a physical, much like when you go to the doctor. He's going to make sure what things are operating within specification. If they're operating within specification, we're going to tell you that. If it's on the low end of the specification, we're going to point that out to you. So as an example, in the case of your brakes, typically new brakes are 10 millimeters. When they get down to 3 or 2, it's a potential safety issue, but more importantly, you might dig into your rotors, and that causes further damage. So we'll note that for you. If we come across something that's a safety issue that will cause you not to operate your vehicle safely and perhaps hurt you, we want to point that out immediately. And that might be something like tires. Fair enough? We're going to go through that with you when I get that report back. He's going to address your concern first, and then I'll call you with what he found on the inspection. Then what I would do is maybe shine the light into maybe the brake pads. Just show them you're looking at paying attention to this. You might turn the steering wheel. Since they had a starting problem, you might try to start it just so that you get a better feel for what the issue is. But walk all the way around with the vehicle. And one of the things you might say to the customer when you look at the tires and check and say, yeah, tires are kind of tricky. Let me ask you this: how do you drive your side-by-side? Do you drive it on rocks? Are you a mudder? Of course, if it's a mudder, you might see mud all over it. But just ask that question and say to them something like, tires perform differently on different surfaces, and that'll help you address maybe that upgrade to change their tire, to get their tires. Maybe even if they're not worn, if they're doing a lot of running on rocks, they may have the wrong type of tire for that. It might be something for better for traction. So point those things, point those issues out, plant those seeds for later. At the very end, when you get around and just say, okay, everything looks fairly good, but again, I'm going to have my doctor, the technician's going to give you a good inspection on it, and I will call you with those results. Would you sign right here, and that'll give me authorization to start the service. That is what the key elements are of a good walk around, and I'm sure there's other things that you can think of too. The purpose of this video is just to refresh you and identify some of the skills, and just be a reminder of the details that you should go through to have a successful visit. Again, this is the very first of a series I'm going to do for you. If you have any questions, I work for the dealership. BRP pays me, but I work for the dealership. So if you have a question and wondering how to handle something, it might be a customer objection, feel free to give me a call. If I don't have an answer, I have lots of resources and other consultants I can ask. Again, my name is Ed Stefanko. People always ask me, how do you pronounce that? And I say just Ed. You can reach me on my cell phone at all times. It's 817-896-3183. That's 817-896-3183. And you can also send me a text message there. If I'm in a dealership and busy, I promise I'll either call you back or return your text message. I wish you all the luck. You've got the toughest job in the dealership, and I want to do whatever I can to help you make as much money as possible. And that starts with providing a great customer experience, which will build your customer retention. It'll get you repeat and referral business, and it'll help you with a good, successful walk around. You will set yourself up for a successful service visit. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.